park in terms of potential permit for vendors.
So another place this one could be addressed for tonight's purposes is there is the proposal or initiative for a resource management plan. And resource management plan would entail, or could entail Atwater Park. And that would, if that was chosen, it could tie into the broader, what are we going to do with Atwater Beach? So just in case people don't know where it would fit. Does anyone have any comments? Okay, thank you.
And then the last is from Sangeeta Patel, if I pronounced that right. And this, I think, is just an extension from Kathy's email. Noting she reviewed those the priorities. Okay, so fencing or barriers at Atwater Beach, that was also mentioned prior. Better management of Atwater Park beach usage. So this may actually be an extension, it's not a separate one.
It's similar, just
Very similar. Yep. Yeah, I think this is the forward and then added. It's addressing the same thing. And that was all, that was received electronically, so thank you to all who submitted comments and feedback. Anyone else? Additional comments? Okay. One comment?
Comment, and I don't know if it's allowed. It goes back to Beth Jacobowski's email. I don't think that she's meaning grab bars and aids like that for physical disabilities. I think she's looking for housing opportunities for disabled young adults, whether that's a program for landlords to make those units available, something that's, she's talking about more living environments and not just, a different lock or a grab bar or a shower or something like that. So it's a broader thing that she's talking about. And I don't mean to speak for her, but I've had a conversation with her in the past, and so it's my impression from her letter that that's what she's referring to.
Thank you.
Clarification. Great.
Okay, so if there's any other public comments, if none, we will move on to prioritization and prep work and review.
Yes. So before we go into the initiative specifically, I want to go through the pre-work and the purpose for that, and then the items that are in front of you. What was asked after last week's meeting was looking at the list of hundreds of initiatives. We took a look at bucketing those in a large, medium, small. We also looked at those who had really high priority. So Rebecca and I sat down and reviewed some submitted by departments and committees, and even collaborated with them to talk about which ones could be deferred, which ones they felt were high priority. Additionally, we added those of the trustees who submitted their initiatives, those were all added together. And then again, segmented by large, medium, small. So what was asked is to identify the top 2 priorities, which within large, medium, small. Again, those that you feel should begin in 2019. So I do need to make a couple of comments, and David, I did speak with you beforehand, but I did receive pre-work from all trustees. I didn't receive Allison, President Rose, like yours and David does, and I apologize for that. Trustee Amenta, there was an incorrect email address used for mine, so I apologize. I didn't get it till about 3:30 today. So what I did is I looked at the list, and so what's in front of you is a list of the initiatives by large, medium, small. And what I looked at is, based on the pre-work, those initiatives that were identified and selected, and then to determine which ones had alignment, essentially. So looking at the large buckets, so if you look at page 2, so they're basically reorganized, the initiatives. I reorganized them and looked at the ones that were selected as a top 1 or 2 priority, and then put those together and determined where alignment existed. Those items in red, Trustee Amenta, what I tried to do is identify those that were, as you mentioned, is really policy specific. So I tried to flag those accordingly. There may be some that's missed, but we can have a dialogue about that as well throughout the conversation. So what is next? So I wanted to just take a moment to kind of share with you what's in front of you. Page 1 is the policy-specific considerations that trustee Menta had mentioned, so I wanted to put those out in front. And then, and this could be another way to bucket these initiatives going forward, page 2 is the pre-work results at a large initiative level. You can see where there's alignment. Page 3 is medium, page 4 is small, and then we'll get to the last page, which was those initiatives that really didn't have competing resources. Could that be, could those be, are there any objections to moving forward with those? Trustee Warren?
I just have a quick question
Sure.
on page 2 of pre-work results and medium. I noticed that
Medium?
in terms of, if you look at numbers 9 and 12,
Yep.
they're the same, but I'm broken out differently.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why I'm broken out differently, or is that just something that should 9 and 12 just have been combined?
You know, I didn't want to combine them without, we tried to combine them actually, I don't know why that is separate.
Yeah, I think it should all be.
Yeah, it should probably be all together, we'll just move that up.
So both 9 and 12?
9 and 12, yep, we can just lump those together, thank you.
Trustee Bachers?
I had a question. Before we had to mark our top 2 choices in all 3 of these buckets, was there a reason that not all of the initiatives that we submitted made it? For example, on the first page, establishing a budget advisory committee, I had a similar initiative, which was a legislative lobbying / advisory committee.
Yep.
And I did not see that in the
You didn't see that in the 2019?
prioritization. No, I didn't see that unless,
I combined it in my,
you did find it?
whenever I get to talk, no, it was not in there.
Yeah, and so that is also policy related, and I just was wondering if that was intentionally
Sure.
left off or if that was an oversight.
I don't think it was an oversight, I know there's a couple that we did bucket together, and so they would have been in there, but I can look to make sure. Can you just name that one more time?
We call it a legislative
Lobbying committee.
lobbying committee and advisory committee, because what I, justification, of course, was that a lot of what we are limited in doing at the local level is mandated by the state.
Yep.
And so a lot of what we actually need to do is change state law.
Sure. I'll double check that.
Can I suggest, I don't know, I read the meeting structure, and maybe we each get 5-6 minutes, who knows, but I want to say, everybody has an idea, we're all struggling with how to best group these. And some of us have our own ideas, and I think it would be beneficial to at least explore or hear those before we start doing 1s and 2s, because I physically, I just can't do 1s and 2s, but I'd be glad to offer my opinion, which gets to 6 initiatives that you asked for. So is it, I'm asking for assistance with facilitating that type of discussion. Is it possible for me to use first my 6 minutes or whatever was allocated to each trustee for that purpose?
Yeah, so yes, moving on to the agenda, and I did see it in the small list. Sorry, I just wanted to look back, it was item 26 in the small, or the medium bucket.
Yeah,
In the full list.
I remember seeing it.
Yeah, it was in there.
Well, then I'd like to change one of my votes, but anyway, go on.
And again, it's just a select, it's more preparation even for the conversation today. So this exercise was to, okay, as I look at these large, medium, small, if I were to say, these 2 things definitely need to begin in 2019. If we have the resources, we have the time, which ones need to start beginning in 2019? Which ones would I prioritize to the top? So for the purposes of the agenda, yes, how you want to use those 4 minutes, and I have 4.
6 sounds good.
Okay. I think we can use some flex time in there, but the exercise was to also prepare for honing in on 6, whether it's small, medium, large, but to kind of advocate for why you feel that way, why you might have chose those over other, and if there's a larger conversation, we've built in time for that as well. So I would like to start with just the 4-minute period if we can, and to try to keep it to 4, and then we can move forward into the next item.
Okay, well, we'll try. Trustee Menta.
Yeah, I'm a little confused also about where we got this. And tell me if this is correct.
Sure.
So staff got together and assigned everything small, medium, or large?
No,
Who was,
no, so,
someone said everything is either small, medium, or large.
It was Rebecca.
And I had some
Lizzie,
questions
Martin.
about why certain things were large, because they don't seem
sure,
large to
Sure.
me. But if you put them in large, then they're competing with other things, you know, so it makes a difference whether
Potentially.
something's small, medium, or
Correct.
large, but we weren't involved in that. And, okay, so they were put in that. Then you asked everybody to pick two, and then the ones that had the most votes came here. Is that what I'm
not the
hearing?
most votes that had any votes came here. So even if
Okay,
one
but-
selected, it's
But how
here.
did everybody, because I didn't do 2 votes and Allison didn't, did everybody else put in 2 votes for something?
Exactly, yeah, everyone else did the pre-work in terms of, selected 2 from each medium, large, small bucket. And again, it wasn't to say,
Just a correction, I did do it and I sent it, but it just never made it, I guess.
okay, I apologize if I didn't receive it. I know I received one from you Tuesday,
Yep, it's on there, it's in orange.
so I did take those, I didn't add them as best I could, yeah, but we did shuffle them a little bit post that, so I tried to pull those in. So yes, I did receive the rest from everyone here.
Because, yeah, it's like the 0%
Mhm.
levy increases in here, you know, and I didn't understand why that was large, because, I don't know, I don't want to take time to debate whether,
Can I make a suggestion?
You can make a suggestion.
I think, like I said, I think if you can just use, we can each use our time, and if you have 1 from small and 3 from medium, you know, I just feel like we're at the point now where if it was if you don't feel it was in the right category, and do we want to spend time recategorizing, or can we just say what we feel is very important to do in 2018? I mean, to me, it doesn't matter, and then
I think
once
you
we
absolutely can, yes.
decide on our pool of initiatives and why they're important. We work with our staff and the administration to find out if that's too many, if that's too little, is there too many large ones? I think we can manage this.
I think that's possible. I do want to say though, as far as prioritization goes, if you think about prioritizing, it's what happens first. It's an organization of first, second, third. If we can get it to a manageable size or number of initiatives we feel we want to move forward with, there's still going to have to be some level of priority within that, and that's okay. But I think we need to get there before we can do that. So yes, if you want to use your 4 minutes and talk about beyond just the 6, I think that's fine. I'm going to try to document those and work within this to determine how do we do that. So that was the purpose of the pre-work. Yes, if 2 couldn't be determined, pick a 3rd. But yes, I want to try to capture that. So with that in mind, I'd like to start with Tammy, or trustee Bachworth, I
Can you
apologize.
start with trustees? I had sent out an email to all the
Sure.
trustees last night. I just feel like it would be beneficial to go over it and then go around, but I'll use my time for it, if that's okay. Or if everyone got it and everyone is understood and read it and doesn't have any questions, then we can start trustee buffers. I just want to make sure that it isn't overlooked.
Do you want? So,
Yes.
why don't we just start with however you want to start?
Do you have a recommendation, trustee McKay, as far as effective use of time or method?
I would, I'm struggling because I did receive the email. And I think it is just your 4 minutes. And so, you know, we all could have written an email of what we wanted to say tonight. So I think we just need to go around and
Okay.
go in whatever order.
I disagree.
I know that.
No, but I just asking opinions, right? You're going to go around and ask everyone's opinion.
No,
We're gonna go around and
The thing that
allocate.
concerns me is the open meetings
Yes.
requirement. I mean, there's an exchange of emails
prior to.
prior to the meeting that the public has not had an opportunity to
Right, that's something I
participate
wanted
in.
to share, it, just
I
like we
think we
did.
need to avoid that in the future.
I was determined that we're there's not an issue with sending one email, it's back and forth
Correct, yeah.
conversation.
Correct, that's how the attorney
And we
defined it.
talked about that in our communication policy now.
I think I'd like to start with.
Okay, so let's proceed with the 4 minutes. Trustee Bachhorst, if you could, if you're ready and prepared. For 4 minutes to advocate for the initiatives you feel are the highest.
So I am re-advocating, we're redoing what we did the other night, basically. Is that what you're saying? or-
Not redoing, if you feel you're, based on the initiatives that are here.
I understand. So I'm struggling with this as well for a variety of reasons. And one of them is that and no offense everyone, but we're all just figuring out this process. And this is a very new, very condensed time frame to try to figure out. And we've heard, okay, so let me just say this. So these are our initiatives, but we're not receiving, we have some staff feedback. But it's not really a dialogue or even a conversation, right? So